I hope you can hear me. So the
Yes.
spoiler alert, it probably yes, but maybe and not today. So what would be that ideal serverless experience? So if we are like thinking from 10,000 feet, what would developers want? So really writing those distributed applications, dealing with scaling and errors and so on is very difficult. So why don't somebody else take care of it? That, I think, is the underlying philosophy of serverless. And if we can push that to the maximum, I think serverless will be really, really successful. So why is it not today? Well, if you are writing code, you would like really not to just write a code like a black box. You have some dependencies you need to think about. You have some inputs you need to take. And it would be really nice if you can write code and see results immediately. So that loop between creating functionality, testing, and then verifying that everything works should be really, really fast. So that's where the WebAssembly really comes into picture, is instead of creating containers and then deploying whole containers, could we deploy a smaller unit of code, exactly piece of code that you compiled, put it there, and then run it. So if we are thinking from like developer experience, as a developer, I would like to write a function. Here's your example. Have that function take some HTTP request and produce some HTTP response, or maybe higher level of abstraction, like in previous talks. You may be having some pub subsystem and you really want to be able to take some events and process them. You do not care if they are coming over HTTP or any other protocol. So you write the function code and then the rest is taken care by the infrastructure. So as we know, today you can do things like that. But how to make it really easy? So Kubernetes is very popular, and you can make it today functions like that, but they are compiled to containers. So can we do it with WebAssembly? So with WebAssembly, hopefully we have that small size, but with small size also come really fast startup time. You only can run what you actually need. If function is really simple, you do not need to include everything and kitchen sink. And then finally, you can do dynamic linking. So function, instead of deploying the whole container, you can just deploy what actually changed, or even you can upgrade if there is security problem or anything like that. Libraries that are used by running functions without changing them. Of course, you want to preserve the old version and do not like destructive replacements, but at least with that level of abstractions, you should be able to do this kind of quick turnaround and security-based modifications. So here I put slides are linked from the website, so I'll be not going here into examples, but WebAssembly is today getting like use cases and getting into all kinds of interesting places, including the really small devices, because you can compile it into really small. And of course, there is a lot of excitement in cloud. You can see, containers are the new normal, WebAssembly is the future. So what is the future if you actually want to run it? So I was experimenting last few months with WebAssembly and Knative, so I will run here a very quick 1-minute demo. So you can get running Knative using just one command. I skip it, we don't want to look on it. Here I create a new directory in which I will be running a function, and there is a template I can apply to create that function. So let's create a function. So there is a command line that creates essentially a little template. You can see that function created here, process some input, generate some output, and just to give you idea, here's just a source code. So all you need to do is to say, you are modifying source code, and you may notice that this function actually not taking HTTP requests, and I will be talking a little bit in 1 minute from now about why in background, but here, you are saving it, and then everything that you need to do to run and deploy that function is just run one command, and it will be going in background, so I switch back to slides. Okay, so you may notice it takes much longer than I was advertising, like a minute or two, because I'm still, when I'm running this demo, I'm actually wrapping WebAssembly into container, and even worse, WebAssembly today has limited support for things like socket and HTTP and so on. So I'm running it with another wrapper like HTTP server, then it is calling actually WebAssembly function. So a lot of wrapping around is going here. And you can find all the details or, come and ask me afterwards. And then finally, my thoughts about it is that there is a great potential in WebAssembly if we get it right. Like every technology we can take and make it hard to use or slow or, very confusing for users, that really is not difficult to do. To make it easy to use and fast and like Apple likes to say, delightful experience, that takes a lot of work. To make something that is really simple, that's a lot of work involved. So here is the, deployed my function, and here's the function running, hello WOSCx 2. And if I wanted to change that function, I would just go to the source code, say again, and boom, I deploy it and should be running. So I think that's all my presentation.